Congressman Alan Grayson is on the line with us, representing the 9th District of Florida, grayson.house.gov. But more importantly, and I think for this conversation, tradetreachery.com, the website. Congressman, welcome back.
Thank you.
And the Twitter, of course, at Alan Grayson. I understand that the TPP is being signed by all the trade ministers in Auckland, New Zealand today, that they had to go to one of the most unreachable major cities in the world to do it because of the protests. And, what's the story? What's going on?
Well, there's been turmoil virtually everywhere in all the TPP countries. And in the case of New Zealand, they're heading for the wrong place because there's been an economics minister who resigned in New Zealand regarding this. And there's been a huge amount of turmoil within both parties because of this. This is basically tearing up progressive forces all around the world on account of the fact that it's being pushed by a Democratic president in the face of resistance from, at this point, both parties. I have to tell you, Tom, when it's been very interesting to sit through the State of the Union addresses. Twice in a row, the president's mentioned it. A year ago, when he mentioned it in the State of the Union addresses, you and I have discussed before, it was the only time during the speech when the Republicans got up and applauded, and the Democrats did nothing. This year, the only people who got up and applauded when he discussed the TPP was his own cabinet. You can look it up.
Wow. So he's got substantial... So first of all, the signing of the TPP today does not make the TPP law. This is the kind of symbolic first step of all these nations saying, yes, we're in. We're in for the, assuming this whole thing happens legally. Do I have that right?
Yes, but what it does is once it's signed, it allows the president to submit it to Congress, and under the fast-track procedures that were fast-tracked themselves last year and jammed through the House of Representatives, even after we'd voted against it initially.
Right.
You don't very often see a revote on things, but that's exactly what happened with regard to fast-track.
Yeah.
The president now, based upon this, will have an opportunity to force a vote on this before he leaves the presidency, most likely between the November election and the swearing in of the new president next January.
Right, the so-called lame duck era. And I'm assuming that Michael Froman, our trade representative, is over in New Zealand signing this?
Yeah, I would think so. They're playing out their hand with the idea that they will try to force this upon us after the next election, in part because there is now such widespread bipartisan opposition to it. Bernie Sanders is opposed to it. Hillary Clinton is opposed to it. And as far as I can tell, every single Republican candidate for the presidency, other than Governor Kasich, is opposed to it.
Wow.
And that involves several people who switch sides. It's no surprise that Marco Rubio would switch sides. He probably switches sides more often than he switches his underwear.
Right.
But the fact remains that at this point, even the Republican candidates are wholesale, almost entirely against this TPP, and yet the president and his a few remaining Republican allies still want to try to force a vote on this before the end of the year.
To what extent do you think that that's because Donald Trump essentially forced their hand by pointing out how badly we've gotten screwed by all previous trade deals and how it was negotiated in secret? I mean, he basically kind of told the truth about it, which is something you're not supposed to do if you're a Republican. And
you're right, and what's happened is that it's been elevated in the public's consciousness in a way that opponents previously have found it very difficult to do. You mentioned our website, tradetreachery.com. The video that we posted there, the 9-minute video regarding trade, is one that has now drawn 1.4 million views on Facebook alone.
Whoa.
And it truly has gone viral. But that was just a relatively minor effort in trying to reach the attention of 320 million plus Americans and get them to think hard about this issue. The entire game plan of the corporate oligarchy that has shaped the TPP up to this point has been to try to force it through in secret and avoid anything remotely resembling a public debate. That's exactly why they are signing it in New Zealand, because they know that in New Zealand there won't be any news coverage at all. go ahead and Google it, and you'll see that the news coverage has been overwhelmingly, almost exclusively outside of this country.
Oh, I heard this story 2 or 3 days ago. We mentioned it briefly on television, and then I couldn't. I was so unable to find it in like the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the New York, the Washington. I couldn't find it in any major American media. It wasn't until I saw the thing in Bloomberg last night that I thought, okay, apparently this is actually happening. But the media blackout was almost like the media blackout on Bernie Sanders up until about a month ago. It's like,
which is still there. I watched CNN's coverage of the Iowa returns live. And I think that Bernie was mentioned roughly 5% of the time, if that.
Wow.
I mean, to be fair, Hillary was mentioned maybe no more than 10% of the time.
Yeah.
There is still a de facto news blackout on that campaign. But, Tom, that's exactly why people love your show so much, and that's exactly why they love you so much. It is literally true that there is nowhere else to turn to find out more about this right now other than your show. Hopefully that will change over time. If Donald Trump keeps trumpeting it, then I suppose it will change over time as long as he remains in the race and even the leader of the race for the Republican nomination.
Yeah.
But the fact that it has become an issue in the public's eye is our best chance so far in defeating it. All of the 600 corporate lobbyists who helped to write it in secret when members of Congress weren't even allowed to see it, they were desperately hoping that it would remain a non-story and a non-issue. And you're helping to change that, and I think, to be fair, so have I.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and thank you for your kind words. I assure you the Admiration Society is mutual. So what can people do? I mean, obviously, go to TradeTreachery.com, watch the video, get informed. You have some resources available over there. What can we do now to prevent this thing from passing during a lame duck session? Is it just a matter of eternal vigilance?
Well, it's a matter of organize. Just a few weeks ago, when there was still an opportunity for public comment, we solicited people who had signed up for our email newsletters, and virtually overnight we quadrupled the number of public comments.
Wow.
And they ended up being overwhelmingly against because we simply informed people of this opportunity. During the fast track legislation and the votes on that being forced through, we kept people apprised. We told them, we gave them telephone numbers of senators whom they could call,
right,
who were voting on it in the Senate. We did the same thing at one point for the House members, and this is how you do it. I mean, we have to blow up the phones over and over again, blow up people's email inboxes over and over again, and let the voice of the people be heard.
And the phone number for the switchboard for Congress, which is both the House and Senate. And if you don't know who your congressman is, just tell them your zip code. They'll connect you. And if you're not sure who your senators are, tell them which state you live in. They'll tell you, and then they will connect you with that office. That telephone number is 202-225-3121, 202-225-3121. And Congressman Alan Grayson, TradeTreachery.com. Congressman, thanks so much for the work you're doing.
Thank you too, Tom.
And thank you for dropping by. To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.